Hello everybody and welcome to my fan vlog for Manchester City versus Manchester United at the Etihad. 6 to Manchester City, 3 to Manchester United. And to be honest with you, that scoreline, the 3 back in the second half, it was good to score them goals, but that scoreline is embarrassing. And it's not even the scoreline in general, it is the way we got outplayed, especially in the first half, which is really, really embarrassing for Manchester United fans. And I would hope the players as well are embarrassed off the back of that performance. But for me, it's not even about losing, because we knew that this game, the odds were not in Manchester United's favour. Manchester City, they have a monster up front named Erling Haaland, and they also have a brilliant team that have been building together for 6 years with Pep Guardiola, who's the best manager in the world. We knew it was a tough game. But for me, what the problem was the toothlessness, the fear of Manchester City, and repeating the same mistakes over and over again and not learning from that. And I just wanted to see some passion. I wanted to see some desire. I wanted us to see us go at Manchester City, give it our all, but also be smart. Like I said, in this game, to go in halftime at 0-0 would be a massive achievement. I wouldn't even care if we just kept the ball, tried to defend, really compact, really tight for the first half, going at 0-0. Then in the second half, you can afford to maybe do some of them passes that we were trying to do in the first half, where they just completely weren't paying off, like the Hollywood balls, you would call them. But it's not even just the Hollywood balls as well. Numerous times, multiple different players on the pitch lost position just through pure lack of concentration. And for me, probably nervousness and fear. Yes, it is Manchester City, and yes, they are a brilliant opponent, but you've come off the back of some really good results. Go out there and prove yourself. Instead, I feel like players kind of shriveled up and didn't go out there and play the best football that they could have. I think every single player on that pitch underperformed, and every single player should now be off the back of that result feeling really, really, really bad about their performance and looking themselves in the mirror and thinking, how do I improve that? Of course, Manchester United have had some good results, but that team and the consistency of them results and the way we were winning them games could only last so long. And I think the actual state of the squad really did show on a game like this today. Some of them goals were unstoppable. Erling Haaland is a monster. Phil Foden is an unbelievable footballer. The whole team, De Bruyne is an unbelievable footballer, but we could have stopped them in numerous different ways. Maybe not every single goal, but the consistent giving of the ball away is what is massively, massively costing us. Sancho, and I'm not singling players out because every single player wasn't good enough today, but Sancho, for me, offered absolutely nothing. You could see that very, very early on. Every time he got on the ball, I felt like saying, we're not in the Bundesliga anymore. You do not have 5 or 6 seconds on the football. You have 1. You have 1 second to kind of make that decision. You have little to no time to make a decision of what you're going to do. And every single time it seemed like he was just getting completely caught out of possession and losing the ball because he wasn't one step ahead of himself in what he wanted to do. And also the outlet of pace. In that first half, even after City scored a goal, there was areas of space in that back four that we could have exploited by making different types of runs, having pace potentially on the wings as well. And I generally do think if Anthony Martial starts that game up front and you have Rashford on the left and Anthony on the right, it does make a bit of a difference. I'm not saying we'd win the game, but I think we definitely have more of a chance going forward. Anthony and Sancho on them wings, I've said it time and time again, and people didn't want to listen to me. There's just not enough balance. There's not enough balance. It's two players that want to do near enough the same thing. And you need someone with explosive pace down them wings. Anthony is quite quick, but Sancho has no pace. I'm not saying Sancho is a bad footballer, because he's not, but I just wanted to touch on the fact in a game like today, you could see that wasn't working very, very early on, and it needed to be changed, and it didn't. Secondly, when you go to the midfield, Eriksen is the first poor game that I've seen today from him. It was a really, really poor game from him, and that shows how important he is to this Manchester United team. When Eriksen isn't on his game, which he wasn't today, especially in the first half, loose passes, it was like Bruno 2.0 with trying to do these balls over the top that just time and time again were not working. Eriksen is a very talented footballer, but you've got to read the game. You've got to realise when and when not to complete these passes. And when every time you're losing possession, City either nearly score a goal or they are scoring a goal, that's when you kind of have to take things back and change up the way you're playing. That midfield three just couldn't get hold of the game. Bruno was not good, but I don't think he was absolutely horrendous. I think he had some energy in there. But them as a three just did not work. I think not Casemiro, I think McTominay. With McTominay, today was kind of reality check of where his qualities are as a player and what his ceiling is. I felt a little bit sorry for him at times because he was massively neglected in that role. But dealing with City's midfielders and City's forwards, he didn't really have a clue. Like the amount of times he'd go to kind of team up with Dalot on that side, and then you'd have either De Bruyne or Gundogan or Grealish running onto the ball, either or kind of switching. We weren't marking players properly. We weren't marking the space properly. And that was a massive, massive thing for us. I think with City, you know that they're going to go at you in the box. Grealish had Dalot on toast. And it's unfortunate because Jack Grealish, I don't think, has been great for a long time now. He was brilliant in that first half and he had Dalot on toast. He did. And McTominay was going to kind of partner up and help Dalot. But at that point, you need somebody, you need Anthony, you need somebody to be coming in on the midfielder that's running onto the edge of the box. They had so much joy with doubling up on us and the midfielders just kept losing us and they were basically on their own on the edge of the box and we were too late to get to them. That's where a lot of their goals come from as well. Why on earth is Eriksen marking Erling Haaland on a corner? I have no idea. Zonal marking, I don't like it to begin with, but when you have Eriksen consistently marking Haaland, it doesn't make sense to me. He's going to be out physicaled. His physicality isn't at the same level of Haaland's. Nobody's is, but it's nowhere near. And the height is a massive difference as well. Doing things like that, it's like asking for them to score a goal. So that's just a lot of aspects today just didn't work out in that sense. And I think with the early yellow card for Dalot, I was absolutely fuming at that from Michael Oliver because it's a derby. There's going to be challenges like that, especially early on in the game. They're the type of fouls you've got to let go instantly. Dalot's put under pressure and Jack Grealish knows he can go in all game. They had so much joy down that side. And then Malacia, to be fair to Malacia, I just think, again, it's levels on games like that today. I think Marcy has been brilliant for us. But when you get on a yellow card, it's very, very hard. And you're going up against the best players in the league here. You're going up against Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, De Bruyne, Haaland. Like it's going to be a tough game. But what annoys me the most is the fact we didn't exploit spaces that we could have exploited. We didn't just play football. And there was massive, massive fear factor involved, which I can't really understand because this City team is amazing. And I think that's one of the best they've played all season. But also we let them play like that. And we didn't shut them down and we didn't learn from our mistakes. And it could have been a very, very different game if early on we just would have took the game in a very different way. And the only reason we ended up getting goals back is because Manchester City decided to take the foot off the gas in the second half. There's no other reason to why we got goals back in that game. Manchester City took their foot off the gas. As soon as we kind of scored, you could see them kind of come back into it slightly. I thought Martial did well to get 2 goals and Anthony's goal, don't take anything away from him. It was unbelievable, an unbelievable finish. And you actually saw once the pressure was kind of off, Anthony come into the game a lot more and express himself a lot more. And that's actually one positive I did want to point out. And that positive is, I think in the second half, especially, Anthony was, no players were good because we got battered, but he was a standout performer, I think, for us. I think he was a lot more expressive. He kept hold of the football well. He pressed well. He actually showed some passion, unlike a lot of the other players. And one instance kind of sums it up for me. And it's not Rashford's fault. He didn't really get any service today at all. But there was a time where there was a deflection. There's a ball up in the air for ages. It was near Ake and Edison. You'll know what I'm talking about if you're watching the game. This is in the second half before Rashford got subbed off. And you see Rashford just stand there and wait for Ake to head it away. He doesn't even challenge him. If that's Erling Haaland, he's out-physicaled the defender. He's won the header and he's probably slotted it in as well. It's different levels here. Erling Haaland, his physicality is unbelievable. He can hold the ball up very well. He's also got pace. Whereas when you look at the players that we've got, Rashford's got pace and he can get in behind. He's one of the best in the world at getting in behind and scoring in that manner. But the physicality isn't there. The hold-up play isn't there. We're levels off this Manchester City team. And I'm not trying to pick out certain players. It's in every single department as well. And I did think it made a slight difference when Martial came on and he could hold up the ball in that sense. But as an overall performance, We lost that game in the first half, and that is through conceding that the way that we did. And even when it was 1-0, there's always chance to come back from 1-0. But we didn't learn from our mistakes and we kept losing possession. And I've said it numerous times before in previous games. We've been playing very, very well. Don't get me wrong. I'm not wiping out the past performances. We've done well. But a lot of times we lost possession and we didn't get punished. And I said, if you lose possession against a very good team, especially a team like Manchester City, you would get massively punished. And that was a reality check today for Erik ten Hag and for the players as well. You cannot lose possession like that against a Manchester City because they will punish you. You can't bottle just expressing yourself on the football pitch because you're scared of what's going to happen. You're going to lose the ball if you're constantly overthinking thinking situations as well, which happened a lot of the time when you just saw that balls were going under the players' feet, missed passes consistently. You've got to kind of have that confidence in yourself. And don't get me wrong, I just wanted to sum up the vlog in saying this. This is a long-term project. We are levels and far away from Manchester City. I've said it numerous times. Like, even if we would have won today, we're still massively far off Manchester City. That scoreline shows it. The performance shows it. But at the same time, there's going to be results like this in a process that is, we are now starting from scratch with a new manager. He's signed some good players. And some of them were probably our better performance today, even though it was a shocking performance all around as a team. But Erik ten Hag's got to learn coming up against different teams in this league. The players are going to have results like this, which shows them exactly where they are in the grand scheme of things. And this Manchester City team are at the top of their game and have been working together for a long time now. And Pep Guardiola has been working his team for a long time. It's two very different teams at the moment. But, I mean, I was getting excited. I was saying top four is definitely on. We've got a chance in this derby. I think I predicted a draw. And that, I think, has brought me back down to earth, but a lot of United fans as well. And this is a very long-term project where we've got players there that can do stuff, but they're just not consistent enough to play at the top level. And I think you can praise players for having good form with the likes of McTominay and Rashford and things like that, but you just cannot get away from the fact that this team is just levels off. And the likes of Casemiro with the experience has to come in and get a chance now. And other players that have been waiting to get their chance might get one in the next game. So we'll have to wait and see. But I hope you enjoyed the rest of what is your weekend and put that result behind us now. And hopefully we'll see a stronger and maybe a slightly different team come out in the next game. And that's all I can say. As a Manchester United fan, it's a very, very sad day. And yeah, it's not a performance I enjoyed whatsoever. But the result sums it up. Manchester City 6, Manchester United 3.